On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, Harassment.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bare Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bareoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode 95 of the Naturist Living Show. My name is Stéphane Deschênes, and I'm your host for the podcast. And this episode, I'm also the owner of Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. And before we get to the topic of this show, we have a comment from Daniel. So why don't we listen to that?
Hi, Stéphane. My name is Daniel. I'm not going to say exactly where I'm calling from. I'm in Canada, but I'm not going to be more specific than that because I don't want to embarrass the people I'll be talking about in just a moment. I do want to thank you for your excellent podcast, The Naturist Living Show. I stumbled upon it a few years ago and have downloaded and listened to it devotedly ever since, vicariously living my naturist dreams through the stories you tell. I was inspired to call in after a recent episode that you concluded with a plea to listeners to join a local naturist club. I'd like to share the story of my attempt to join a local naturist organization. It was really such a negative experience that it has put me off completely, at least for now, the thought of joining any group. So here's my story. I've been interested in naturism for a long time, all my life really, and I'm in my mid-40s. My job has taken me many places, many of which were very far from the closest naturist club or campground or resort. Recently, I moved to a large city, and I thought, well, here was my chance. So I got on the internet to explore local options for nude recreation. I found the website for the local club. It did not give off a friendly vibe. Its membership page was essentially a list of reasons why they wouldn't accept someone as a member. If they didn't already belong to another naturist club, if they were a single male and they already had too many of those, if you didn't understand what naturism was about, or if you hadn't yet been properly screened by their executive committee. Now, I understand the need to be cautious. You've spoken many times on your show about misconceptions when it comes to naturism. It was the subtext, though, that put me off. The website had said something like, "We'd love to have you join us," or, "If you've never been part of a naturist club before, we could be your introduction to this great form of recreation." Well, that would have been very positive. Instead, the message I was getting was, "Go away." Eventually, my wife and I attended one of this club's swim nights. My wife and I, so no prejudice against a single male at work here. No one spoke to us in the locker room. Beside the pool, there was a hot tub. All the regulars crammed in. No one invited us in or made room for us. We paddled in the pool alone for a little while. And one of the regulars did come over eventually, and he said something along the lines of, "Well, our club isn't for everyone." I can't imagine how they could have made us feel less welcome. We left after about a half hour and never went back. No one followed up to find out why. I've worked with similar non-naturist groups, so I do understand the psychology at play here. Many social clubs say they want new members, but what they really want is the financial benefit of more people paying membership fees. When the group is small and close-knit, the introduction of new personalities can disrupt the feelings of comfort and safety that the long-timers have developed. Unfortunately, such an attitude ultimately condemns such groups to extinction. Joining any group is a little intimidating, especially if you don't know anyone in it. I would suggest that joining a naturist group is even more intimidating than it would be for, say, a bowling league. Any volunteer association like a naturist club that really wants to grow must take welcome seriously. A daunting membership process will only scare people away. It must not be up to the newcomer to endear her or himself to the group. Remember, I understand naturism, and I wanted to join the group. Imagine someone who was just a little curious. How could they be expected to hurdle the wall of suspicion that I was confronted with? Now, I admit that was just my experience. I have no idea how other groups operate. This was my first time. I wanted simply to share my outsider's perspective with you and your listeners. And I thought you should know that go out and join a naturist group was not, for me at least, as easy as you made it sound. Thanks again.
Well, that is a very sad story, unfortunately. People get up the nerve to finally go and try, and they have a terrible experience. And I know for a fact, because Danielle wrote to me first, that it was not at Bear Oaks. I would hope that couldn't happen at Bear Oaks. I'm certainly pretty sure it couldn't happen with our staff because we go through a lot of training. Of course, we don't control all of the members, but most people who come to Bear Oaks seem to have a great time and find often people to hang out with. It's a little hard when you're new. Sometimes it can be intimidating. People come towards you, but we generally have a fairly friendly environment because we try to encourage community events. For example, campfires, we have community campfires, and if people are using those and managing them, then the wood's free. If you want to do a campfire at your own site, which can be very social too, but perhaps a little bit more cliquey, then you have to buy your own firewood. And, we've built a lot of areas and spaces where people can gather and people can feel welcome. And one of our rules is if it's an official event is that everyone is welcome. Children are welcome. Sometimes it's not appropriate, but they're still allowed if that's what the parents decide. So I hope that in your club you do everything you can. You think what it's like. You remember what it's like. The first time you came. It's easy to get very comfortable with the people you know, but the future of your club depends on your ability to welcome new people, to make people feel like they belong and they can join. They're not outsiders. That it's a place that they want to stay and come back again. And if you don't do that, then you shouldn't be surprised if the club is shrinking and if you have trouble attracting young and new people. So the topic today is harassment. So the first interview you're going to hear, I recorded before the summer when it got very busy. And it's because I was very aware that women were getting harassed online. But the topics in the last few months with all of it started with the Harvey Weinstein situation and all the other famous people who are no longer able to just hide and keep people quiet, keep women quiet mostly, some men, but mostly women. That topic is very much in the news and very much top of mind. In fact, as I record this, Time has made the people who will not be silent the people or persons of the year. That made a big difference. So this is really the right time to talk about this. But what motivated me to do it is not something that happens because of that, or happens in the entertainment industry, or happens at work or on the street, although it does. It's what happens to women online. In our club, at Bear Oaks anyway, we have an anti-harassment policy, and we're quite serious about it, as long as people report it. And frankly, that's one of the challenges. We often find out days or weeks later when it's impossible to identify the individual, or it's very hard to do anything about it. We find out after people decide not to come back. And sometimes we find out through third parties that the people involved didn't want to really say anything because they didn't want to be bothered, or they didn't think anybody would do anything about it. So let me be clear. Anybody who is going to Bear Oaks, we take it seriously and we do act. Not everybody who is, drunk and obnoxious or whatever gets immediately kicked out necessarily. It might be a stern warning. But it depends on the situation. And every situation is different. People say, what do you do about this? Well, it really totally depends on the situation. So I won't get into details about that, other than to say that generally men are confused sometimes. Now some feel even more confused. Is a hug okay? Is a comment all right? Well, we actually wrote a whole brochure about that, how to make friends in naturism. And I did a podcast. I'll put a link to it. I called the podcast How Not to Be Creepy. And there's some advice in there, and I won't go through it all, that should be fairly obvious. Like, people don't really want to hear about your sex life on a regular basis or what you're into. Maybe if they're a close friend, they might want to have that discussion, but you should still be careful. You shouldn't touch people that you don't know unless you know for sure it's okay with them. Things like that. And you shouldn't comment specifically on people's bodies or body parts. Somebody we got a complaint once that somebody had said, hey, I think you have lovely breasts. And when we talked to him about that, it made the woman feel quite uncomfortable because she didn't really know him. And when we talked to the man about it, he said, well, I was just complimenting her. Well, to notice that their certain body parts are attractive, to comment on body parts suggests you're paying attention in an environment where people are already perhaps a little uncomfortable because they're not wearing clothes and they're expecting acceptance. That's not what they're looking for. And furthermore, men will say, well, I would love to have women, comment on how good-looking parts of my bodies are. Sure, you haven't been raised your entire life to be made to think that the only value or your most important value is what you look like. Your value as a person is your body parts. And as you grow older, they become less worthy. That is what women face all their life. And gentlemen, it's hard to imagine, but you have to really try that if that was happening from the day you were born, you might start to feel like you're not a whole person, but you're just a body. You are just in charge of carrying this body for the pleasure of others, and you are constantly being judged. And you can't imagine how tiring that gets for people. So that's in live. Now online is even worse. It is amazing to me that any women are willing to be public about the fact they're naturist online and post naturist pictures of themselves online. Because, guys, if you don't know because you've never experienced this, even if you've been online for a long time. A woman many years ago said, try it. Go online as me. You have my permission to use my pictures and create a profile. So I did. I went onto a bulletin board, a naturist bulletin board. You'd think that'd be safe, right? I won't say which one. It doesn't matter. It probably is the same on all of them. And I created a profile as this woman. I posted a picture, a very benign picture, not a nude picture yet. And I don't know how it happened because I'd been on this bulletin board for many, many months, perhaps years, and hadn't had any particular contact from anybody except some people I already knew in the real world. But I don't think I was on there with my profile for more than minutes when I got several invites to chat, to be friends, to connect. I mean, it was weird. I don't know how people even knew I had just joined. Like they must have been watching. And then the conversations, of course, some of them got very weird very quickly. Lots of women will tell you how many times they've been requested nude pictures. Why would you ask for somebody for a nude picture? It's weird. It's not about showing off. It's not about possessing. It's not about looking at other people. And I won't get into a whole ethical naturism thing because I've already been accused a few times of just harping on the same topic over and over again, but this is the Naturist Living Show. And, the whole idea that then, shortly after that, maybe somebody will send you a penis picture. I don't know. Does that work? Does that work for some guys? Like you send penis pictures and some women go, oh, I'm so impressed. I don't know. Do you think they want to see your penis? Sorry, not you personally necessarily, but the guys who send penis pictures out. It's just odd. And it's odd, I think, because we don't understand each other. because men and women don't talk enough about what it's like to be a man and what it's like to be a woman. And men are just as much victim of this in that they've not learned what women want and how to get along with women because they've not spent enough time with them. Some have, but a lot of them have not, and a lot of them have misunderstandings. They've seen too many movies which gives the wrong impression. Or they've watched too much porn, which, people who make porn say it's a fantasy, it's not reality. You don't knock on the door delivering pizza and have naked women answer the door and then jump you. That doesn't happen in real life. So rather than me continuing to talk about it, I'm going to bring you a discussion I've had with Cleo. She's known online as Topless Topics. And I first contacted her last spring because she is doing regular videos talking about a variety of topics and issues, and she's doing it generally, almost always, topless. Or top-free, as the people in the movement often prefer to use. And she's been banned, and she's been blocked, and she's been harassed. Not just by YouTube, which shut down her account, or by Facebook, or all those have shut down her account. But by individuals who also think that because she is posting, and you can go see yourself, very benign, very everyday, plain, regular, boring, sitting there talking pictures, but she just happened to not be wearing a shirt or a bra, like a guy might be, the way it would look normal. So I gave her a call, and we had this really nice chat and discussion.
My name is Cleo, and I've been making content online, videos and everything like that pretty much since the birth of YouTube. And then 4 years ago, I was originally a YouTube channel, and then I switched to Vimeo because YouTube doesn't like nudity, and they consider topless females nudity. So I switched to Vimeo and everything else. But anyway, Topless Topics, basically it's a free the nipple topless equality advocacy thing. The funny thing is when I started it, I had actually never heard of Free the Nipple. That came like a year later. Basically saying, in Western civilization, males were only allowed to go topless since the 50s. So it's not like it's hardwired, and why can't females and, all genders have the same rights? I mean, it's 2017. Shouldn't we stop giving rights to one group of people and not to other people?
Right.
And I was born and raised nudist or naturalist. I don't know. I've always called it nudist. But so that comes up a lot, too. And basically my videos, they're not all about being topless, but they all are topless. And the whole goal is to just basically give people a chance to see a topless female in a non-sexual setting, talking about whatever, reviewing a movie or something like that, so that I can kind of help people who have only ever seen a topless female in a sexual setting, in porn or whatever, like have a chance to see a female not doing that kind of stuff. And then it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't automatically equate topless females with porn.
Right. So you're basically topless, but you're not necessarily talking about toplessness. You could be talking about anything.
Yeah. I mean, like, for instance, I struggle a lot with anxiety and depression. So like I've done videos talking about, social situations I've been in and stuff like that. And I get comments from people who tell me that it's really helpful to like hear somebody else talking about it. Sometimes I do talk about, feminism and political stuff. Like I'm a avowed Trump hater. Sorry, not sorry. And like I interact with people a lot too. I'm actually in the process of putting together a website, which I'm really hopeful will help encourage others to take a more active part, because I've said from the beginning, I don't want to just be standing on a soapbox and talking about myself. I want others to make their own content, it to be a communal effort, so that it's not just me, it's everyone saying, hey, let's fight for equality.
So you talk about whatever. You're almost, I think you're always topless. Sometimes you have a baby, so sometimes you're nursing your baby, right?
Yeah.
And your husband's involved a little bit?
Yeah, I would like to get him involved more, but he just doesn't. It's not that he's against it. He's just lazy and doesn't like being in videos. I actually do videos with my parents sometimes too, because like I said, I was raised nudist, and my parents are very aware of what I'm doing and on board. And while my mom's like, oh, you might get fired from the job or whatever, I work from home as a graphic designer, so it's like, how are they even going to know? And and with my child, it's actually been a whole new I don't want to say ball game, but it's been a whole new field of having to be aware of and be considering, that was a weird sentence, but considering rules, because as my mom likes to worry, there's so many people who see a topless female and think porn. So if they see a topless female and think porn and there's a kid in it, they're like, oh, this is porn, this is pedophilia. And so like my child is always dressed in the pictures and in the videos. And, I don't know. That's a new field for me. I'm trying to be careful and make sure that I don't have any situations, hopefully, where they're like, oh, she's making porn with her child in it. But,
Well, it's only porn if it's meant to sexually arouse the other person.
Yeah, well, you and I know that, but... I know. So as a guy, man, we go online and we create accounts on social media and we do videos on YouTube, and if people pay any attention to us, they might comment and we might start a little discussion. It's fairly normal. Is that what it's like for a woman? No. I feel like it's getting a little bit better in more recent years as people have been talking about it. But as and I'm blanking right now, but like a certain trending Twitter hashtags will show you, where women will use a tag and they'll talk about situations that they've been in. Like Yes All Men is one that immediately comes to mind, where it's like, or not Yes All, sorry, Yes All Women. It's not all men is the joke side. Yes, all women have, been pursued by so-and-so. Yes, all women who post stuff online have gotten death threats, stuff like that. And the biggest difference, and I saw an XKCD comic a long time ago that I thought did this perfectly. When you're a guy and you state an opinion, like people will attack, you for that opinion. When you're a girl, and I mean, these are generalizations, but when you're a girl and you make an opinion, they'll attack all womankind. So what the XKCD comic does is and I'm paraphrasing because it's been a while since I saw the comic, but basically this guy does like a formula, and the guy is like, the response is, oh, you suck at math. And then a girl does the exact same formula, and the comment is, women suck at math.
Right.
And I thought that was a great illustration. And I mean, I see it a lot. I mean, for instance, as I said, I've been making videos for a long time, and a lot of my videos are about video games because I love video games. I've played all sorts ever since I was a little kid. And again, it's getting better, but I still get comments where people are like, oh, you don't really like video games. You're just pretending for attention. And I'm just like, what? Of all the things to fake an interest in.
I know exactly. I asked you the question. Of course, I know the answer to it because I was trying to get you to explain it, which you are, because I've heard from lots of women.
Sorry for my long-winded answer.
No, it's okay. It's a good answer. But you're talking generally about being a woman. But what about when you're a woman who is topless on video on the internet? Doesn't make it better, does it?
No, absolutely not. And I mean, it's tough. Like, if I had not been making videos not topless for so many years, there's no way I could even approach to, start to handle the responses that I get. And I mean, to this day, like I told you right before we started this interview, I either got a single person who's really obsessed with me, or like some subset of Reddit or 4chan or something who has decided to, well, for lack of a better word, attack me with renewed fervor, where they're just like, oh, you're a slut, you're ugly, they said in the same comment, like, ugly white girl, like 3 times. I'm like, really? Try to be a little more original. Like, and basically all the death threats and stuff you get as a woman anyway, you get it, 400% more. You get 400% more, you're a slut. Oh, I'm going to cut your head. I mean, I don't want to gross your viewers out, but the comments I get are pretty grotesque, and yeah.
You know what? I don't think you should worry about editing it for the listeners. I think people should know what kind of things you've had to face, because I'm sure you've had threats of violence against you, right?
Oh,
What kind of threats do you get?
Well, one of the ones I got early on doing Topless Topics, and I don't know why it stuck in my head particularly. I think I was actually kind of laughing, but only because I've gotten such a hard shell over the years. It was something about like, I want to cut your head off and fuck your neck hole with blood spurting out over your breast or something like that. Like, that's literally, I mean, that was, to that caliber, I don't get too often, but I definitely get, I want to choke you. I want to kill you. I want to hold you down and rape you. I get comments on my child even. I get people who are like, oh, I want to, kill that child and butt fuck him. And I'm just like, yeah. But those people don't get their accounts removed. I get my account removed for a topless picture.
Well, yes,
but
because,
the death threats to my child.
Death threats to you and your child, that's okay. But your nipples, that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, even Twitter.
So why do you have any idea why guys, I assume it's guys, are doing this?
I don't know. I mean, the going assumption is just that they feel ignored by society as a whole, so they want to get people mad. And I mean, the thing is, I've been on many sides of the internet. I actually went to 4chan regularly for a couple of years, and I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. And like, the thing is, when you go to places like that where it's simultaneously a contest to be the most asinine and hateful, and also a contest to give the illusion of not caring what your response, what responses you elicit are, it will take the nicest person and it will turn you into a monster. And so when you have these echo chambers of the internet where it's literally, you get more quote unquote respect, or, EPing as they call it, for being the most hateful, then you have people that are already, it's all a reflection of wanting to be included, I think, but it's wanting to be included by horrible people. So you're like, oh, I'm going to be the most hateful, the most, I'm going to have the most graphic description of how I want to murder and put my penis in her child, and then I'll win the internet.
Yeah.
So I think it's basically that, just trying to impress each other for all the wrong reasons.
So you get death threats, you get comments about your body, you get suggestions of what people want to do and who you are. Why are you still on? How can you take it?
I mean, part of it is, it's hard to say this without sounding horrible, but there is definitely an element of how do I word this? Like, I understand people trying to get a rise out of people, because simultaneously it's like the whole, it's better to be feared than ignored. Or, well, it's better to be feared than loved, but you want to turn that around. It's better to be hated than ignored. And I mean, if I were doing this stuff and just getting no response at all, I wouldn't do it. But the fact that I'm doing it and I'm getting people to like think about it, I mean, is an important thing. And then the other side of it is, slowly but surely, I actually am finding people who seem to legitimately support what I'm trying to do. And, like I said, I'm trying to put a website together and make it a communal effort. And I'm really hoping to encourage other people to make their own content, or if they don't want to, record themselves, I'm going to start a thing where I put a question out and people write in their responses, and then I'll read their responses aloud. Is I want people to get multiple viewpoints on this, because right now, if you look at the law book, or you just look at, the average reaction, if you go see a topless woman on the street and everyone stops and like gets their cell phone out to record her because, oh my God, nudity, oh my God, female nipples. Like, it's so easy to assume that that's what everyone feels. And I can tell you from my own experience, there's lots of people, not just naturists and nudists, but people who just in general don't understand why we have these disparate laws. So I'm trying to reach those people, and I'm trying to, since I can take the abuse, I'm trying to encourage people who are not so experienced at dealing with online hatred to maybe have a little bit of a foothold. Baby activism.
Yeah. So what's the law like where you are with regards to toplessness?
I just moved here to Portland a couple months ago, and I haven't really looked into it. I know in San Diego it's not really legal. I actually did a video early on in Venice Beach where I was going around and interviewing random people about their opinions on it. And the thing is that with the U.S., actually more states than not allow toplessness legally. But the thing is, it's very hard to get cops to go along with that, because even in New York, where they've made a big splash on fighting for topless rights, and they supposedly retrained their police to not go after topless women. There's still a lot of problems with it because there's a lot of wiggle room where like, oh, she's creating a disturbance. And I mean, that's something that I fight with a lot, where it's like, why are you putting the onus on the girl to wear a shirt? Why aren't you going after the guys who are like harassing her? Like, why is it her fault that they're not comporting themselves? So I know that Eugene apparently does allow toplessness for females because one of my followers, I don't know what to call them. Followers sounds kind of cultish, but
why not?
One of my followers. Well, I don't want it to be a cult. I'm very anti-cult.
Well, they'll give you lots of money then.
Well, the thing is, I could make lots of money if I just did porn, but I don't want to do that. But that's a whole other subject. But anyway, someone sent me a link to this girl who is actually, I think she's a fetish model or something like that. But she did a video in Eugene where she walks around without a shirt, and she's talking about how it's legal there. And Eugene is like an hour south of me now. And I was thinking, once I get the website together and I can start doing this kind of full time, I would like to start going to different areas where it is allowed and kind of test it out and see what people's reactions are, do kind of a hidden camera, and then have like a little like card ready with the law printed out. So if police show up and try to harass me, But for instance, in San Diego, I went to 2 Free the Nipple things. They were both actually started by this other topless activist who I'm going to do an interview with soon, called Annie Ma, who is a UCSD student. And so the first one we went to was at the UCSD campus, and basically we all just sat around and, it was a hot day. We all just sort of sat around, read books, talked to each other, whatever. And the other people in the school were just like surrounding us, like taking pictures and oogling and just like, oh my God. And it was literally just female nipples. That was it. We weren't even full nude. And the other one was at Venice Beach, and that one got shut down really fast because the cops showed up and said that we were creating a disturbance and made us leave. And what was funny is that, like, I think a year later, Venice Beach supposedly passed a law that said you're legally allowed to be topless, female and male, and everyone. But they're still having problems allowing people to actually exercise that right. So.
Wow. So
it's a complicated issue for sure.
It is a complicated issue. It's been legal for decades in Ontario, as it has in New York State, but yet few women take advantage of it because of the reasons you've identified. You become the center of attention. Sometimes you become the subject of criticism and insults and that kind of stuff.
It's kind of a catch-22 because culturally you have people say, well, it's against the law. And then, legislatively, they say, oh, we're just making laws like people want. And so it sort of feeds itself. Like, people will find a reason to go along with what they already feel. So if they think that, a woman being topless is immoral, they're going to look for some law saying that it is, and then vice versa. So
yeah, but here it's not against the law, and it still does prevent. It's culturally it's the problem, and it's a chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying like cops saying, oh, you're creating a disturbance.
Oh, yes.
They'll find a way.
Well, generally in New York State, certainly New York City, they don't do that anymore because of the fight by several women. And the same thing in Toronto. You won't get a cop, they might give you a hard time, but you push back and they call in and you'll get an apology. But that still doesn't prevent the public from being nasty to you or making you uncomfortable.
Yeah, so and it requires a certain level of bravery to push back too.
It does.
A lot of people are just going to be like, "I'm sorry," and not ever try to do it again. So
it does, and you're very brave to doing all that you do. Do you ever get tired? Do you ever want to just? Aren't there? There must be days where you go,
"Oh yeah,
that's the last creep I want to ever deal with. I'm done."
Well, I actually like a week ago or so, I told people I was going to take a break because it wasn't, and I explained this in my rant post about why it's not so much just the random people showing up and saying like, oh, you're a slut, blah, 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 like whatever. It's what I call concern trolling, where people say that they support what I'm doing, but then they're like, oh, but you shouldn't do it in front of children because, that's too much. That's shameful. I'm like, so you're not actually supporting it because you're still saying it's sexual. Or just like people that are like, you're like, some people tell me I'm too attractive to be a free the nipple model or free the nipple activist, because I'm white and I'm only 31 and stuff like that. So like, oh, well, you're too attractive. I'm just quoting them. I don't agree with them, but I'm saying I'm too attractive, so I shouldn't do it. I should only let, people of different body types and skin colors. And what I'm saying is, like, I would love to have everyone do it, regardless of your gender or your age or your shape or your color, I mean, well, 18 and up, please, because let's not all get arrested. But,
so that's illegal where you are, whereas it's not here, by the way.
Yeah. But I absolutely, like, if I could, whatever I can do to amplify others, I'm happy to do it. It's just, I literally don't ever see content by other people, pretty much ever. But if it's out there, please let me know, and I'll happily, if that person wants me to, be like, hey, everybody go check this person out. So
well, I've known a number of women who have either been activists for being top-free online, or for naturism, right, when body acceptance and all that stuff. And many of them, if not most of them, after a while give up. It just gets to their soul. They just the nastiness is too disturbing for them. So do you have any advice for women who might want to do it, but how to not get burned out by it all?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I know a lot of people, like, I'm blessed in that I'm in a liberal area, where it's not hard for me to find other people that kind of share my ideals. But if you don't have a real world, face-to-face support system, it's that much harder. And you have to be really careful about online support, because people they just look at stuff differently online, and you'll have people that you think are like, and I'm saying this from experience, you'll have people you think are like best friends, and then all of a sudden they'll see an opportunity to exploit you or whatever, and then boom, you lost that person to support. Whereas if you know them in real life, well, yeah, they can absolutely burn you. I feel like it's a lot more difficult. But yeah, like, there's absolutely, like you're saying, there's ever times that I burn out and I just want to go away. And absolutely, I'll just, like, I'm not touching YouTube for 3 months because they kept banning my videos. I'm like, fine, you want to ban me? I'm not going to touch you for 3 months. And instead, I'm just concentrating on family, raising my child, playing video games with my husband. Having my parents on board is really helpful too, because it's like a multi-generational perspective. It's not just this young liberal, privileged white people thing. It's people of all shapes and sizes wanting equality.
Right. So do you think more women should do what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone, not just women. I think, and I know, like, it's difficult. Some of the guys that watch me tell me, like, I want to be a Free the Nipple supporter, but I don't want other guys thinking I'm just, a fan because I want to see boobs. And I mean, people are going to say horrible things about you anyway. You just literally, you either have to laugh them off or just ignore them, because you are going to get horrible comments. But like I said, what I'm really hoping with the website and everything is to have different formats. So if you don't want to go all the way to the level that I am of, doing topless videos and having them out there for the world to see, you can do a video where your face isn't visible, or you can do a written statement and email it to me and I'll read it aloud for you, or, wear a mask, or like, whatever. Like, there's different ways of being a participant without having to, go to the lengths that I am. Because I know a lot of people are, they have family that's going to, turn their backs on them, or they have employment that's going to be threatened, which is super illegal, but it happens all the time. Oh, I heard in your free time you do Free the Nipple content. Well, we can't have people like that working here. So, so I don't want to, like, make people like that feel like, oh, if I either have to not take it part at all, or I have to risk getting fired. No, there's grounds in between. So do as much as you can, as you're comfortable doing, but please do something.
So what do you imagine in 10 years? Where would you like things to be? I mean, you're not going to change society that fast, right?
Right. But I mean, you never know. Like, as you know, the U.S. is kind of going through the opposite of a renaissance right now, devolvement. But look at how rapidly attitudes towards LGBTQ marriage has gone. Like, I was 20 or something like that, 25, when they finally made it legal across the country. And I'm sure 10 years before that, we never thought that'd be a reality, and now it is. And you kind of see the same thing happening with healthcare as a right now. A lot of people, thanks to, not to get off on a huge tangent, but thanks to the ACA and stuff like that, they are getting to experience what it's like to have health insurance. And now that Republicans are like, no, you have to buy your own health insurance or whatever, you have people that previously were always like, oh yeah, everyone should pay their own, being like, wait, I like not having to worry about dying suddenly. Sure. And I think, so in that sense, it's really hard to guess what will happen in 10 years. My ideal world, well, let's not go that far, but what I think would be a reasonably ideal goal is literally just have the same legislation at least, and somewhat same cultural norms. Because, like all the times, like it was 90 degrees here a couple of days ago, and, there's all these guys jogging shirtless, and it's just like, it makes me mad. Like, I really wish I could just pull my shirt off and go. Well, I wouldn't, because that'd be painful. But pull my shirt off and go jogging or sunbathing or something like that, and not literally have people crowd around taking pictures like it's a two-headed cow. Like.
Yeah, well, and so what can we do about the trolls? What can we do about the people online?
I think as far as online, there's not much you can do because, like I said, they want attention. But I think definitely people you actually know, if you see them saying something like that or actively, purporting that kind of culture, try to ask them why. And, what is your goal? Are you try to have them think about why they feel the way they do. I mean, that's something I say in my videos a lot, is I try to get back to the moral story of all your opinions. Think about why you have that opinion and decide, is it logical? Is it empathetic for you to have that opinion? If you hate this or that, how does it affect you in one way or the other? And what is your gain of thinking that way? So, hopefully if you have a friend who's like, oh, this ugly girl is trying to get attention, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, first of all, if that was true, how does it affect you? And second of all, if it's not true, maybe you could listen to her instead of immediately assuming that she's just doing it for attention.
Yeah. So is social media your friend or your enemy? I mean, social media allows you to reach people, but you keep getting banned.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil pretty much. Absolutely. Like, there's no way I would have reached the people that I did without YouTube and Facebook and stuff. But it's kind of like going back to, culture reflects law, law reflects culture. The excuse a lot of these social media platforms use is, oh, well, this is what the people want. But then you find that's absolutely not true, because they also, they'll, like Facebook, for instance, they'll allow beheading videos, but they'll ban your account for having nipples visible if you're a female. And It's just like, it's absolutely not true. It's absolute nonsense. And like I said, I switched to Vimeo because YouTube was constantly taking my videos down. And I get these people all the time like, oh, they don't ban views because I found this other one. And I just show them the multiple screenshots of the multiple videos I've had banned. I'm like, that just because you found, yeah. And so recently Twitter even took my account down for a couple of days because I had a screenshot from one of my videos and they called it pornographic. It was literally just me topless, like talking, and they called it pornographic and took it down. And I was really disheartened by that, because up to date, Twitter and Vimeo were literally the only social media platforms that anyone actually uses that hadn't taken my stuff down. Facebook took it down, YouTube took it down, Google took it down, Instagram took it down. Even ones that nobody ever uses didn't allow it. And then all of a sudden, I got a little bit more active on Twitter, where I got really political and would get in conversations with people about current politics. And I got the attention of all the Trump supporters who love to call us snowflakes, triggered snowflakes, but then they turn around and report my stuff to get it taken down. And all of a sudden, Twitter was like, oh, your stuff's pornographic, and they took it down. And it's very frustrating, because the only way to change policies on these websites is if enough people complain that they start to think, maybe our shareholders, might be interested to know that, more people seem to support not banning this than do. And that's sort of the problem I run into, where I get a lot of people who are like, oh, I love what you're doing, but not enough to make it their own content. And so it's just me yelling into the void. So.
Yes, well, and all those rules that they say, it's what people want. It's what the people want. That's very ethnocentric. That's perhaps that's what some of the people want in the United States, but it's definitely not what you would experience if you were in Europe. It is perfectly normal to see on the front cover of a newspaper on a newsstand a top free woman in Europe, and there's no issue. So, and it's certainly, there's other countries in the world where top free is absolutely taboo, but then so is showing a woman's face, or ankles. And Facebook seems to allow faces. So, which cultural standard are we going to use?
Yeah.
So you said
that's a really good point.
You said you grew up as a nudist. Do you ever do these nude?
Videos, no. I have put a couple pictures up. It's a difficult thing for me to kind of explain. I did one actually Tumblr post about it that people seem to think made sense, where basically, the core purpose of what I'm doing right now is focusing on this disparity between laws and cultural reaction to toplessness between genders. And so that's what I'm trying to focus on. When I start doing full nude stuff, then people are kind of confused, because it's like, while it's right now legal for a guy to go to a beach without a shirt and not a girl, it's definitely not legal unless it's a nude beach for anyone to be showing their genitals.
Right.
And so it kind of obfuscates the issue a little bit. I personally, obviously, as raised as a nudist, I think human bodies are beautiful and not inherently sexual. And I would love to live in a world where everywhere is a nudist location, and we can all just wear as much clothing as we want. But, even expecting topless equality in 10 years seems a bit much. So I don't think we're going to get to removing the puritanical, naked bodies are sinful foundation of the United States within 10 years. So I forgot what the question was.
No, that's the answer. You were answering exactly the question. So Cleo, if the listeners want to support you, what can they do?
Well, so like I said, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I'm trying to get the funding right now to get the beginnings of what I want this website to be together. It's going to be toplesstopics.org. So, I think you said there's kind of a delay between recording your videos and putting them, or you're recording your interviews and putting them online. So by the time they hear this, it might already be reality. Otherwise, I would say literally you can just Google Topless Topics and you'll find my social media pages on pretty much everything. Until I get that website up, my main website is probably Vimeo. I think it's vimeo.com/user/topless topics or something like that. Just Google Topless Topics Vimeo. I'm also on Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook and YouTube, although I'm not checking it right now. But, my ability to interact with each social media platform is restricted by how quick they are to assume that my content is porn and remove it. So, So Vimeo, it's frustrating because Vimeo is the most open, but Vimeo is also the one that the fewest people use. So I get people all the time who are like, "Oh, why'd you stop making videos?" And I'm like, I've made multiple videos on YouTube saying, "Hey, I'm going to Vimeo, follow me to Vimeo," but I still get people who are like, "Oh, you stopped making videos." I'm just like,
Well, we will of course post links to all the various social media places you are on the show. Yeah, we're recording this now. It's at the end of May, and it probably won't be live until July. So, but we are definitely. I know that almost everybody listening, if not every single person listening, is supportive of what you're doing, and I am certainly going to do everything I can to help you. You're a very inspiring woman for very brave for taking all of the abuse you're taking and not letting it get to you. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I think it's more that at this point, it doesn't faze me. I'm just so used to it. But yeah, and also, I think we had talked about, I want to do an interview with you, in fact, and I want to do interviews with people. Again, followers feels like the wrong word, but people that watch my videos and stuff like that, I want to do interviews with everyone and ask them, what do you think about topless equality? What do you think people can do to help? Because let's crowdsource this. I'm sure people out there have ideas that would never occur to me. And, your listeners as well, if they have any plans or ideas on how to help with the disparity, I'm all ears. And hopefully they'll take a look at Topless Topics and maybe leave it in a comment or do their own video. I would love that.
So Chloe has had a child and is just now pregnant with another one, starting a family and growing a family. And Good for her. I mean, I really admire her strength of character and her willingness to put up with it all, her determination to make it work, because it is a chicken or the egg. If women don't start pushing the envelope and making this normal, normalizing top free women the way men are top free and can be without anybody really being worried about it, it'll never happen. It takes people with strong characters like Chloe to be able to do it. And another one of those is Felicity from Young Naturist America. And I know she's had similar issues, and she's blogged about getting dick pics and all kinds of things. So I thought we should give her a call too and ask her about her experiences. So Felicity, you have been a figure, a representative, symbolic of the naturist movement, nudist movement now for a number of years. You're a young woman. You're not afraid to put your picture out there. How do you deal with the harassment? I assume you've received harassment from men and things like that, have you?
Yes.
And how do you deal with it?
Yeah, it depends. I get comments online when I post pictures on Facebook or social media, and I will get men making inappropriate comments who are either sexualizing the picture, making sexual comments about my body, or even just trying to compliment me in ways I didn't ask for. And yeah, I used to get pretty frustrated at that, and I think by now I have taken measures to either delete the comments, block the person, or in some cases I would respond to that person and explain, like, if it seemed like somebody, I could talk to, that explain, like, why their comment was harassment, why it's not what I'm looking for in posting whatever I posted, and, like, please stop. This is wrong. But I have never let it stop me from posting any kind of naked or topless photo of myself online.
Did it ever get to you?
It has. It has been frustrating at times because, I'm not posting a photo in order to be objectified or to be looked at in a sexual way, or, and it's not even like I care if someone's having sexual thoughts about me, because I've always explained, like, you cannot control someone else's thoughts. Like, I'm not the thought police, and, because a lot of people feel that women should not post photos of themselves in any kind of unclothed form, and because men are perverts and they're going to sexualize it and they're going to make inappropriate remarks. And if they do, well, that's your fault, because why'd you post this naked photo of yourself? And like I've explained, men can control themselves. Like, I think we can teach men how to respect women, men and boys, and they don't need to say these things, and they can be taught that this is inappropriate and nudity doesn't have to be sexual, and, like, women's bodies, they're not entitled to comment on them. And and whether it's in person or online, I really don't care if someone is looking at my picture and having sexual thoughts. Like, it's really about how they decide to talk about it or say something to me or make me uncomfortable. If they make me uncomfortable, then they've crossed the line. And at that point, I have to do something, I have to say something, and it's going to affect me. And yeah, it can be frustrating, the number of people, men, who, like, don't understand basic human decency, I guess, and just feel like if a woman's posted her photo online, then they're entitled to comment on it, whatever they want to say, and they can just engage in sexual harassment, and that's perfectly acceptable. So, yeah, it's frustrating, but I really think that we need more pictures and representation of women in naturism or top freedom in order to counteract that to some degree.
So help guys understand. You know what they'll say? Some of them will say, they'll say, "Hey, what the heck is wrong with you? I am just complimenting and appreciate your sexy body, and I would love for a woman to do that to me."
Yeah, right. Because it's not a compliment. It's not a compliment when you're making the other person uncomfortable. A compliment is supposed to make somebody else feel good, and it's not making them feel good. It's making them feel bad. So how is that a compliment? There's compliments, and then there's harassment. And men need to understand that women are not looking for that kind of feedback from strangers on the internet, unless they ask for it. But mostly they're not asking for it. I'm not asking any guy for his opinion on my body. And it's not why I post pictures of myself. So that assumption needs to end right there. And they need to, understand that fundamental difference between compliment and harassment.
Yes, I think it's also guys don't understand because they haven't spent their entire lives, almost since birth, having people tell them that their bodies exist for the purpose of others to comment on it, and that they were going to be judged their entire life by what they look like. If you've never experienced that, you don't realize how tiring it is to never be viewed as a person, but as a body, right?
Yeah, women are still conditioned to believe that their worth lies in how attractive they are, and that it's not emphasized that they need to develop their brain or their intelligence. It's appearance above all else. And, you can't win whether you try to look sexually appealing or you don't. It's either, the whole Madonna whore complex. And yeah, there's so many issues around women's appearance being scrutinized, and just the level of expectation there is so much higher than it is for men.
I have recently, because I'm older and I've talked and I know a lot of women, I am decided I'm going to try very hard to never compliment a woman on their appearance. It's hard to do. It's hard to do because it is expected, it is normal, it is part of everyday society. Women do it to each other. So it's very hard to not do it anymore. And women then think they don't look good and you don't like them because you're not, because they're looking for it. It's not that, like you said, you're not necessarily looking to be commented on your body, but if nobody ever does, you've been so conditioned to expect it that when it doesn't come, you start to say, maybe something's wrong with me. And so, I would challenge everybody out there to see if you could spend a whole time not complimenting on a woman's appearance at all, and see how tricky it is. And I'm not talking about, saying, oh, you have nice breasts. I'm talking about just a simple, hey, nice outfit, nice dress, nice whatever. You look really great today, which, in some ways says, well, maybe you didn't look as great the other day. Guys never get that, or rarely get that. Some days I might get that if I get really dressed up in a suit or whatever, but generally we don't. And it's very hard to spend a lot of time or watch what happens with young children, and the difference between how, the girls are, oh, aren't you pretty? Isn't that a pretty dress? Don't you look pretty? Look at that nice hair. The boys get, hey, wow, you're so fast. You're so strong. You're so smart. Even today. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about 2017. That's still how most children are raised.
Totally. It starts from a young age. And I try to be especially conscious of how I compliment young girls, because I could fall into that pattern easily also of, complimenting a little girl on how pretty her dress is and how nice her hair looks. And I started trying to think, how to just decide to start complimenting girls on, oh, you've done so well in school, you're really good at reading, you're really good at math, you know, whatever they're into, whether it's sports or intellectual pursuits or whatever, instead of just exclusively complimenting them on their appearance. And people have to start doing that and thinking about it. And like you were saying with women, oh, if women don't get compliments on their appearance, they could start thinking something's wrong with them. Well, yeah, but there's the whole fundamental problem of like women looking for like their self-esteem and external feedback. You know, if we had a healthy society, nobody would need feedback from other people to think that they're a worthy person who's like looks fine and, you know, have perfect confidence in themselves.
So to women out there who are thinking of whether they should be public online or post pictures of themselves online, what would you say to them?
You mean like naked pictures?
Yeah, naturist, nudist pictures.
Or
even without, you don't even have to post pictures. Just going online in a forum and saying you're a naturist and you like to be naked can bring on attention too. So, what do you say to them?
Yeah, they should be aware that a lot of people are not going to even understand what that means. That they're going to misinterpret it. That there might be people who think there's something wrong with it morally. That they might get inappropriate messages from people who don't understand, and I think they need to be prepared for that.
Go ahead. Sorry, you were going to say something else?
No. Yeah, they need to know how to respond to that, and like it can get tiring having to be the person to educate others, and so. You know, everyone can do it to the degree to which they feel comfortable doing it.
And for the guys out there who presumably want to encourage women to participate in naturism, what would you tell them?
Do not go around commenting on women's appearance and photos, even if it's just saying beautiful, you're beautiful. There's just no need for that. Like, unless the woman's looking for that kind of feedback from men she doesn't know, you just try to comment on something else in the picture. Like, just say that's a beautiful photo, or like take an interest in where the photo was taken, or, you know, how it was shot. Like, you don't need to...
Yeah, or you look really happy, or you look like you're having fun.
Yeah, that's nice too. That's the kind of comment I can appreciate. Yeah, don't assume that a woman is posting a photo because she wants you to comment on her appearance, on her body.
Yeah, well, maybe you would treat it the way if a guy would post a picture of some event that they went to where they happened to be nude, where you wouldn't say, "Hey, nice pecs," or nice abs, right? You'd just be going...
Yeah, I mean, some men might. Maybe, you know, all the men who are not straight, but...
Well, maybe you would, but a woman wouldn't, or, you know, it's... Unless they're clearly bodybuilders, and that's what they're looking for. Like you said, that's a different thing. That's kind of an art.
But I mean, men aren't affected by it in the same way, as you were saying, too. But that's because they're socialized differently. Right. And... You know, women are so used to getting unsolicited feedback, so used to sexual harassment in the street, and so used to that also leading to worse behavior, violence, threats. I mean, it's all the time that women are hit on and they reject, and then only for the interaction to turn violent in some way.
Yes, absolutely.
Freak out, call her names, you know. Women have to fear for their safety a lot more than men do, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And if naturism is about body acceptance,
then we have to accept bodies. And if you're complimenting people on their bodies, then you are not really accepting, because you're suggesting that some are better than others, or parts are better than others, or there's an ideal. And there is no such thing. There's individuality, there's uniqueness, and there's beauty in all people.
Yeah, exactly. I like to think Naturism can, or helps people to see as someone else as more than just a body, to actually see them as a person with a individuality and character and personality and what kind of person they are, basically.
So, if you're not sure how to talk to women, well, you can check out some of these blogs that we've had. But if you want to understand, get to know a woman and talk to her. And talk to her. Don't try to, go too far too fast, but try to understand. We have been asked many times how, if you're a single guy, how do you meet single women for naturism? And my answer is, and maybe that will be a topic for a future podcast. But for now, the answer that I give is just go to any online dating, normal online dating sites, and put the fact you're a naturist in your profile. Don't make it the number one thing. Don't post a naked picture of yourself. Don't even post a shirtless picture of yourself. Just make it like it's a thing about you and you're passionate, and talk about what it means. Because if you've been listening to this podcast, you know what it means. It's about accepting yourself. It's about respecting others. And you will do better than trying to find single naturist women. There are some, but they're not necessarily hanging out on the dating sites, and there's not that many of them out there. But based, at least in Canada, based on a survey we've done, about 14% of women in Canada, a little bit more in younger women, are interested in the idea of naturism, whether they're interested in going to a nude beach or a nude resort. And so that means that, one out of every 6 or so that you talk to will want to come with you. So that's a good way to try it. But most of all, remember to be a good person and to treat people and talk to them with respect and the way you'd want to be talked to if you were in their situation. So that's all for this episode of the Naturist Living Show. Thank you, as always, for listening. My name is Stéphane Deschênes. I'm your host for this podcast and the owner of Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park, and I make this show with the help of Sean Mitchell, who makes the task of putting all this together so much easier by doing all the time-consuming editing. You can find links to all the items we talked about in the show notes on the website at naturistliving.bearoaks.ca. Please keep sending your comments and suggestions. I appreciate getting them. I read everything I get. I don't always have time to reply, but I do read everything I get. The show's email address is naturistliving, one word, at bearoaks, one word, .ca, because we are in Canada. That's B-A-R-E, of course, Bear Oaks. You can also call and leave a comment, as Daniel did, and we love to be able to, if it's appropriate, include it in the show. It's very easy. You can call us toll-free if you're in North America at 1-888-373-9124 or 905-473-6060, country code 1. Most people can make this phone calls all over the world now for little or no charge. Or you can actually Skype us, which is, of course, absolutely free. If you have Skype, you can download Skype if you don't have it. And no matter which one of those numbers you call, you will be put into the phone system for Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. And the Naturist Living Show's extension is 333. Easy to remember. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Naturist Living Show, and that you'll join us again for the next episode.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.baroques.ca.